Hey guys, today I'm going to be making a video about my e-cig supplies, my vaping supplies, my different devices. I'm going to do a coil build. I'll explain what that is later. So, in this box I have all my different supplies, my devices, pretty much everything you'd need for all my e-cig stuff. You might have seen a device like this before. Here's the battery, and here's the tank. Adjust my mic a little bit. Here's the tank, and that's where you put the juice in there. That's I forget the name of those type of tanks, but put the juice in there, and the wicks are just, let's see if I can get that to focus. The wicks are in there, and it soaks up the juice, and that's what fires it. Just put it to the side. This one is actually already full. I forget what kind of juice I have in there, what flavor, but that one's ready to go. You can hear it fire up. This is the Vision Spinner battery. It's a little beaten up, I've used it a lot. On the bottom here it has a knob for the volts. So the more volts, the more power it puts through, and the more vape it puts out. This one doesn't put out very much at all compared to some others. It's a lot compared to some though. Ugh. Whatever I put in there, it doesn't taste very good anymore. It's been in there a while. I think it might be toffee. Anyways, let me put that to the side too. Those are two of my complete devices. And here is kind of what I use when I'm on the go. I taste MVP. This was a relatively expensive device. It's really good. It sorry, I had to cough there. It super durable. Yeah, I've dropped this thing so many times. And on the top I have a Pro Tank 2 with some of my favorite juice in there, which I'm out of at the moment. But apple butter rum. See if it's on. There we go. But actually at the bottom it has a USB port. You can even charge your phone. It's the on-off switch. I sense I'm gonna have problems with focus this entire video. And this here, if you press both the buttons, it tells you your resistance. The resistance is the coils. They're a twisted metal, which I'll be making in a little bit. Twisted metal, and the more wraps you do, the higher the resistance, so the more length it has to travel through the coils. And so it's about 2.1 ohms, which is pretty high. And you can change the wattage, or you can change the voltage. This goes up to 5, yeah. Honestly, I don't know what the difference between wattage and voltage is, but some people like to use one over the other. I usually do wattage. 11 watts is about right. Anyway, and so if you have it on low, about 6, lowest it goes, it'll be really low vapor production. Yeah, this is a good device. And the tank, I'm not a huge fan of, but you can, there's so many different types of tanks. I might get another one someday. The tank actually just screws off here. And this ring here, it's called the beauty ring. Just comes off so it looks a little better. Get this back on. And finally, those are kind of starting with the lowest, the starter stuff, and moving up. Once you get past that kind of stuff, you get to these types of devices. This is actually a starter. When you're getting into this kind of stuff, it's good for starters. Well, maybe not this tank, I'll explain why. It's called a rebuildable. This here, this entire part here. This top part here is called an RDA. Stands for rebuildable dripping atomizer, I believe. And this bottom part here is called a mod. It's a vape only V-Mecha, which I wouldn't recommend for a hardcore user, but maybe for a starter, because it actually has a built-in protection thingy that keeps it from putting out too much power. But the thing about these, why they're called drippers, is because you take off the cap here, and you have your coil, your wicks. Those are the coils I was talking about. They're a wrapped canthal. And that's one I made just earlier today, actually. Oh, where's the middle? Here it goes. And the wick is actually cotton. Get my tweezers here. This part's the cotton. Those are the coils up there. And this is actually a really cruddy tank for rebuilding, or RDA for rebuilding, because these top posts here, they screw up, and you can see there. You have to put the wire in between those posts and then screw down, which is a huge pain. I have another one here that I'll show you that is a lot better. I'm going to be building on. But once you have it all built, that's just a lock for the button. You push the button here, and it shoots out the vapor. And this top cap kind of acts like a funnel. And you put it on there. And then you suck up here. It's called a dripper because once you have your juice, this is the juice I was using. It's actually not my favorite juice by a long shot, but It's alright. It was supposed to be Arctic pineapple. I tried it at the shop. It tasted, you know, like pineapple with a little menthol in there. A little cool, but it's more like a breath mint going down your throat. It's 8 milligram nicotine, which is about medium, a little on the lower side. Anyway, it's called a dripper because you just drip the juice right on there, get the coil soaked, and you put your top cap on. I'm surprised actually. I haven't used this in a long time. This RDA actually has pretty good vapor production. It really just depends on the type of coils you build. The RDA is kind of just a blank canvas, and you build whatever you want on there. Right, here's that. Let's put this to the side. And this is the mod I'm using right now. I got it the other week actually. And see these holes I drilled here? The battery was getting kind of hot, so I drilled a bunch of holes in there and no more problems. That's where you put the RDA. Let me grab the RDA. This is the RDA I'm going to be building on. It's really nice for building coils, especially for a beginner. It's really nice. It's my drip tip. That's what they call the tip. Kind of like a bullet. I think it looks really good. Put this back. And really, the mod is just a battery holder. You can unscrew the bottom here. Here's the battery. It's called a mechanical mod. There are regulated mods which use a circuit board and all that. This is just straight battery to contacts. So the battery goes in there, and this button connects the battery to whatever's up here, connects it to the posts, and then to the coils. This mod's actually kind of unique because most of them have a bottom button, like my last one. This one has one on the side, and you can actually unscrew this top part up here and put it on the bottom, so it's bottom button or up here. Alright, let me show you the rest of my supplies that you need for rebuilding. Wire is probably the most important of building a coil, because you know, what else would you use? It's called Canthal A1. It's the kind of wire that's most popular. This is 28 gauge, so it's pretty thin, and I've used most of this. It's almost gone. I started off building with this, but higher gauge or lower gauge wire, lower gauge, like this 26 here, which is almost gone as well, or this 24, which I've been using, which is really nice. See how thick that is? The lower gauge puts out more vapor. It's a little easier to work with actually, because it's less springy. It's actually the lower gauge wire, the less resistance you get. It's kind of backwards, but think of it like there's more space for the wire to travel through. I've heard it explained like 28 gauge here, it's kind of like a 2-lane highway, and this 24 here is like a 26 gauge highway, or 26 lane. This 24 gauge wire is like a 6-lane highway. There's a lot more movement you can go through. So I'll be using some of that later. Get this out of the way. Let's see, here I got some drip tips. Oops. That was really loud, I'll probably edit that out. Here's a drip tip. It's one of the first ones I got. I think it looks really cool. It's like a snake. It's just one that came with my RDA. Let's see. This is another type of wick you can use besides cotton. It's called silica. But cotton's so much better. I haven't used barely any of this. I got another battery in here. This is what most people start off with. It's I don't know, this might be a knockoff brand, but usually they're called Ecos. This one's out of battery, I think. I barely ever use this, kind of just a backup. Then you got, let's see, here I just have some coils for the Pro Tank. You can actually rebuild them, add your own coils, because you can just buy them already coiled. But if you rebuild them, you can get some pretty nice vapor. Here's some extra juices I have. Here I got some banana Laffy Taffy, 6 milligram nicotine, 50/50 PG-VG mix. PG stands for propylene glycol, something like that. I forget what the VG stands for, but basically the higher the VG. Oh, this is 60/40 actually. The higher the VG, the more vapor it puts out. The higher the PG, the more throat hit you get when you inhale it. I usually go 100% VG, or as high VG as I can, because I love the clouds. This here is Pina Colada, 100% VG. And this is what I've been using in the meantime until my regular juice comes in. Butter rum, 100% VG. Let's see. So probably, let's see. First most important tool in your arsenal is the wire, of course, to build the coils. Secondly would be tweezers. Well, maybe thirdly. Secondly, it would be something to wrap the coils around. Here I got a box of all the things I use. Here's some 20 gauge needles, some 16 gauge needles. I got some drill bits. Got a 1/8 drill bit here. I have a 5/64 and a 1/16. There we go. So what I'll be using today, actually. So I'll keep this out. Here's a flathead thing I just use for tightening up some screws in my mod. Here's an extra O-ring for my RDA. Some 22 gauge needles. Anyway, and then thirdly would be your tweezers. It's nice to move the mic a little bit. It's nice to have some really fine tip needles to get, way in there. And fourth most importantly, very important, is a resistance checker, an ohms meter it's called. The MVP, like I showed you, kind of has one built in. That's your resistance, the 2.1. I'm not sure what the 4 means. But this, you can screw any kind of RDA or you can even screw this Pro Tank in here. I'll use this one since it doesn't have any juice. almost any tank. Guess this one doesn't work with this. But most of the coils you buy, you know, just with your tank, are about I'd say about 1.5 to 2 ohms, and that's fine. But the lower you go, the more vapor, the more power it puts through the coils, more energy, and therefore it gets hotter. Let's see. Here's a voltmeter, and I have to check the batteries. Let's see if I can get this open. Let's use this real quick. I actually wanted to check my battery. So this one I've been using for a few hours today. It's a 3.7 volt 18650 size battery, 1600 milliamps. Let's see if I can get this without it falling over. Turn that at like 1 decimal point. Oh wait, no I don't. I like 2. You take the positive end. Put it on the positive. Well, let's do it on the ground. You take the negative, put it on the negative. Alright, you know what? Okay. Whoop. There we go. About 3.9 volts. I don't really understand because, you know, this says 3.7, but when it's fully charged, it's about 4.2, it says. So I don't know what that's about, but I actually need to charge this battery. Let's just put this to the side. And that's about it. I got a lighter in here. You sometimes need to heat the coils, but with the higher gauge, you don't really need to. Got some pliers, nail clippers to clip the wire. I'll use that. Let me just put this down. Alright, so let's build some coils. So I usually aim around 0.3 ohms. It's usually the sweet spot for the battery not getting hot. And for putting out loads of vapor, depending on the kind of coil you build. There's a whole bunch of vapor. Alright. So, I'm going to take my other battery off the charger. That was really loud. I put my mod together. Just screws in there. That's tight. I'm going to go ahead and put the RDA on top and we can get building. Alright, so I'm going to be using some 24 gauge wire. About 6 inches I usually take off. Actually, I don't know if it's 6 inches, I just take about 1 wrap around the spool. Actually, I'm going to be taking 2 because I'm going to be doing a dual coil build. You know, single coils just when you have 1 set, or when you have 1. Dual coils when you have 1 set, you have 2 coils. You can even do quad coil. I don't think I've ever seen a 6 coil build, but I'm sure it's possible. Just clip this. pieces. Now I'm going to take a 5/64 drill bit. I'm going to build today what's called a micro coil. There's macro coils, which use the 1/8 drill bit you saw that I have. And then there's micro coils, there's nano coils, which use a 28 gauge needle, which you saw. And then there's super nano coils, which are actually the wire wrapped around a super small drill bit, like 1/32. If you want a really super one, you have this wire around itself. And that is a huge pain, but it's a really nice hit. The vapor is really hot, but it puts it out instantly. Anyway, so how you build a coil? You take some, put it around like this. Actually, that's not a good place to start. You need a little bit of a lead so you can feed it through the holes. The wire goes through those holes there. Then you clamp it down. And then you need some over here, something to grab, so you can have another lead on the other side. Adjust the mic a little bit. So I'm going to do about 6 wraps each. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Focus. There you go. That's 6 wraps. And you want to get them as close as possible for a micro coil. There are some coils called hybrid coils, which you do about, well, really any amount of wraps, and you leave a space, you do some more wraps, another space, do some more wraps, and then that allows vapor to go through those spaces. But you get low resistance, and it's kind of tough to do. But this is one of them. Grab my other wire, another piece. Let's do that again. That one was kind of botched. Might be able to save it. Just take these tweezers and push it together. That's what I'm working with here. That should be fine. Might end up doing a single coil, or I might have to build another one. We'll see. I'm just going to take this off and squeeze it together a little bit. I'm sorry about the focus. I know when I'm watching videos, I hate when it's on focus. It gives me like anxiety. I gotta work with what I got. It's not an awful looking coil. Once I put it in the RDA and it heats up a little bit, I'll be able to squish them together even more. Just adjusting them a little bit. You definitely don't want them to overlap at all on this kind of build. There are so many builds, it's ridiculous types of builds. I'm gonna let it squeeze together a little bit. If I wasn't making a video, I would definitely redo it, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so once we got both of our coils, I'm just gonna go ahead and snip the end. SD card ran out of space. I had to clear some space. Anyway, so I snipped the ends off of the coils. Made one longer than the other, so it's easier to put in these holes here. And right now the holes are not open, so what I have is this tool, Allen wrench thing. There's little slots up here. Just unscrew it. I do that for all of them. Are open. So what we're going to do is take one of the coils, stick one on there, stick the other on there. That'll make it a little easier to get them up close. I'm going to put the drill bit back in through the coil. We're going to want them parallel to the ground. This might be kind of hard to do on camera. Let's see. I'm just going to shove it in there so there's focus. So there's barely any space between. Oops. Make sure it's tight. There's barely any space between the post and the coil. Sorry, I might be blocking your view a little bit, but I need to hold my finger there so it doesn't go away and slip. Once I tighten it down, it'll be a little easier to show. Alright, so that's tightened down. That's one of them. That's the negative post here. Right here, these two are the positive posts. There's a negative post on the other side too. I'm going to make this straight. Sounds like that. And what I'm going to do is take the wrench again, get the tail out of the way, and tighten down the second one. Alright. There you go. Going to just move this around a little bit so it's a little straighter, a little even. A little bit, move that around. There we go. Perfectly even. Just gonna pull this out and see what we got when we fire it out. So what you're gonna want when you're putting a coil in, you're gonna want it to burn, start getting hot from the inside, from the middle of the coil here, and the heat is gonna go outwards on both sides, and it never does it on the first try. So you're just gonna want to squeeze it together a little bit, squeeze it together so the coils are all touching, but you definitely don't want, if you can see, definitely don't want the coil to be touching the post at all. Just gonna squeeze these together. It's kind of hard to see because the camera light. You can kind of. I'm trying to focus. You can see the heat's up, but there's still a little cold spot right there. I'm gonna wanna just keep squeezing it, maybe adjusting a little bit. Squeeze some more. That's what we want, right there. Now, the tricky part, once you get one of them in there, is to get the second one to do the exact same thing. They have to look identical. And this was the kind of messed up one. This is going to be tough. Get my drill bit. Shove that in there. What I'm going to do is just move these tail ends out of the way there. Yeah, I predict this is not going to go well, but we'll give it a shot. Alright, that's pretty close there. Screw that down. And the other side. Push that a little bit. See, I need my pliers. Wherever they went. They're still in my box. Yep. All I'm doing is pulling this tail end so it gets a little closer to the post there. Looking for Allen wrench. Just gonna screw that one down. Even that one out. Pull it out a little bit. And then just pull out the drill bit. Just like before. Stuck in there a little bit. There we go. Let's see. It's not good at all. I can feel the battery getting really hot right there. Hope I don't explode on camera. That'd be embarrassing. Because if the battery overheats too much, would not be good at all. What I'm trying to do is heat up the coil so that it gets malleable enough to stay together when I push it together. It's actually not looking too bad. Oh, wow. I think I actually did it. Just do that a little more. Squeeze together. It's looking really good. Now, notice the battery's getting kinda hot. So what I'm gonna do is check my resistance to make sure it's not something too crazy like anything below 0.3. I'm just gonna take this entire thing off. Grab my ohms reader here. Make sure it's on. Screw this in. Oh. Screw that in there. Oh man. Yeah, that is not too good. It's really low resistance. What I did wrong is that I didn't do enough wraps of the Canthal, or I didn't give it enough space in the middle. But I'm not redoing it, so we'll work with what we got. I just won't be able to vape on it for too long. I'll just do it for the sake of this video. So now let's check it one more time, make sure nothing got moved around. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to take our nail clippers. Just gonna clip off the end here. Alright, those ends are clipped. That's pretty nice looking coils. Oh, I think I messed something up. I clipped the ends. See, this is kind of, some people consider it. You might be watching this and going, wow, that looks like a huge pain in the ass. But I think it's kind of fun. Tweaking everything. And at this point, really, I would, if I wasn't doing the video, I would just take out that coil and redo it. Or spend like 20 minutes trying to tweak this thing. Well, plan B, we're actually going to go with a single coil, I guess. I'm going to go ahead and take this off there. And this will actually help our resistance problem too, because when you do two coils like that, it cuts the resistance of one of them, it cuts it in half. So this should, in theory, be about 0.4 ohms, which is just about right. It's pretty good. It won't put out as much vape, but it won't suck as much battery either, and it won't be as hot. And it'll probably fire up a little faster too. Ooh, it's getting warm. Alright, so once we got our coil, not coils, we need some wicks. And you know, wicks are across the room, and I forgot to bring them over for the video. So let me just grab them real quick. Alright, sorry about that. So, grabbed a couple cotton balls. You really only need a tiny bit. So, there's a whole bunch of different wicking techniques also, but I'm just going to be doing what I guess is the regular. There's one called a cotton cloud, which is when you just take a little roll of cotton and you put it underneath the coil there. That's usually for smaller diameter coils where you can't really fit it through. And then there's a dragon coil, which I'm not going to explain, but that's another popular one. You can look that up. I've used it, actually had it before I started this video, before I cleaned out my RDA. It works really well and a whole lot of vapor. Anyway, so just undo a little bit of the cotton ball, maybe 3 to 4 inches. And you just take a tiny little sliver, probably about like that. There we go. And even it up, take out this bottom part. And I'm just going to roll it up, set it away. Roll it up so that it's a tiny little round piece. all I'm going to do is try to get the end a little bit. I'm going to shove it right through there. Actually, it might be a little too big in diameter, but let's see if we can pull it through. Because you really don't want the coils too tight, because once you put the juice on, it's going to expand. That's a little bit on the tight side, but it should be good. What I'm going to do is take a little bit off the ends. I'm going to take this end here and just shove it under there. That's really all there is to it. Don't want any coming out the side. And I've heard that if you put a little space below there, you'll get some more room for the vapor to come out. But let's find right out. And there we go. That's a completed coil. Focus. Let's see how it vapes. I'm gonna get my juice here. It's the butter rum, 100% VG. All I'm gonna do, I'm gonna saturate the cotton. See, the cotton just sucks it up. I want the entire thing soaked. It's by far the best I've seen. But I think for the sake of this video, it'll do just fine. Let's see how it tastes. My head is behind the camera, so I'm gonna move it back here. It's a slightly underwhelming vape, amount of vapor at least, that I'm used to. The flavor is actually really good. Getting a lot of the buttery flavor. Not so much the rum. On the Dragon Coil you can really taste the rum come out. I can feel the side up here where the coil is to get really hot, and that happens. Nothing to worry about. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm trying to get this top cap off. That's where I take off to put in the juice. But you want the hole right here to be as close to the coil and get a better angle. It's kind of dark, but I want it to be as close to the hole as possible, so that once that coil puts out the vape, it goes straight to the hole, and then since you're sucking in and the air is coming through the holes, it'll go straight up into your mouth. Got a little cotton stuck there. If you put the this RDA originally came with one set of holes right here, and I drilled these two holes right here. I'm no machinist. Looks like crap, but it works. If you only have one set of holes and you put them far away, maybe you put them on this side, far away from the coil, then it'll taste really wet. It'll just be really awful. It'll make you cough for sure. Just gonna juice this up a little more. Well, that's how you build a coil. It's actually kind of fun. I might try some different coil builds. Maybe rebuild a pro tank coil. Maybe even build on my other RDA. That'd be awful. Okay, I won't do that. But yeah, that's that. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.